Exactly how would you make bigger enemies?
To be offended or frightened of everything.
So you've become like the sort of Tony Scarface of podcasting.
Good morning. Welcome to the morning show. Lovely Wednesday. Lovely day out there. Hope you're having fun. Hope you're enjoying yourself. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you to everyone in the chat so far. There'll be more coming in. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for tons of content that you can check out. Patreon.com/Pantelis for all exclusive stuff. You can follow our producer over here, Poseidon, at Poseidon69. He has a website at IamPoseidon.com. And just like every week, I'm here with the legend himself, Ted Bird, still broadcasting, I see, on the radio, and has his own hit podcast, Standing By, the Terry and Ted podcast. How's it going, Ted?
Good, thank you. That's also right here on this very Pantelis platform.
Yeah.
Pantelis and Mike Ward very generously provided us with the infrastructure for Standing By, the Terry and Ted podcast, and season 6 is in the works. We've got studio time booked, and we have guests booked for mid-October. Hope to have the first episode of season 6 posted by 1st of November at the latest.
There you go. So don't forget, guys, subscribe, and you can hit that notification, that little bell, so that way every time there's something that comes up on the channel, you get a little notification, and you can head on right on the channel and check it out.
Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
You were saying nice day. It is a nice day.
Beautiful.
For the 20th of September, and we've got, according to the long-range forecast, today, tomorrow, and Friday, all going to be sunny, low 20s. And that's it. It's a fond farewell to summer 2023. Saturday is the first day of fall, the autumnal equinox, when we have the closest that we get to the same amount of daylight and darkness in one day at this time of the year, is Saturday, September 23rd. It seems to me, for as long as I can remember, I always thought it was the 21st, whether it was March for spring, June for summer, September for fall, or December for winter. I always thought the first day of the season was on the 21st. Is that familiar to you?
No, at all.
No, eh?
21st.
Yeah, I always thought
I never paid attention to the days, to the dates. I usually just listen to either on the radio or somewhere. Someone's
those guys on the radio, they got no fucking idea what they're talking about. They're just making it up as they go along. But I looked it up today. The last time that the autumnal equinox was on the 21st of September was more than 1,000 years ago. So I guess I haven't
Who the
been
hell is
paying very
counting,
close
though?
I don't know.
Who's keeping track?
I don't know. More than 1,000. I said to my co-host Murray Sheriffs this morning, I said, Murray, that's around the time you and I first started in radio. That's how long it's been.
How are you?
I'm good. Do you like the autumn? Do you like the fall? A lot of people say it's their favorite season because of the colors. Like it's pretty. The fall is pretty.
No, it's beautiful. I'll tell you what my problem is. I don't mind the seasons. I don't care about the cold, hot. It's fine by me. I hate snow. I can't do snow. I don't mind the cold so much. At least you'll just have to dress up. That's fine.
Yeah.
So that's okay. The snow bothers me, and especially in the city. Like if you go up in the mountains, or we have a place up north, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. But in the city, I can't stand the snow. What bothers me is the darkness. When you wake up in the morning and it's dark, already.
Yeah.
And
when it's dark at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
That fucks me up, man.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a sickness. I know a lot of people.
It's called SAD, seasonal affective disorder. Apparently, it is. It's a psychological condition that you can suffer from if the darkness gets to you. And I know that the fall is beautiful and the leaves and all that, but I don't like. I wouldn't say I dislike it necessarily, but what I don't like about it is I find it's melancholy because of what you said. Every day gets shorter, every day gets colder. You know the worst is coming, right?
Yeah.
That's why I like the spring. Give me the dog shit and the mud of spring every time because I know the best is yet to come.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You have daylight up until 8:30, 8:45.
Yeah.
That fucks me up. I don't think I'm sick. Like, I don't suffer from it, but it does have an impact.
Of course, yeah.
I feel like I get grumpier.
It's a downer.
Oh, my God.
It's a downer,
I can't stand it.
I don't know when we changed the clocks this year, but when the clocks change, that's when it really kicks you in the nuts. That's like all of a sudden, it's like it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon and the sun is setting.
But if we don't change the clocks, it means that it would be 3 p.m. and it'd be dark, right? Is that why we changed the clock?
No, I think it gets dark earlier when we change the clocks. I would have that would involve math, which I'm not very good at.
I thought we changed the clock so that we can avoid having darkness
I thought we did it so the factories could stay open later and we could defeat the Hun in the war. Wasn't that the beginning of the whole thing? Yeah. You got to keep the factories open and make the bombs and defeat the Hun.
I enjoy everything up until January 2nd.
Yeah?
Yeah. After that, man, it's like, what's the point of this?
Why that particular date?
Because everything.
Because you like New Year's Eve and New Year's?
I like New Year's Eve and New Year's, and also I love Christmas. I'm a big Christmas guy.
Okay.
So I enjoy it. So I have I like Halloween a bit too. I used to like it more as a kid, obviously.
Yeah. I hate it now. I don't want people knock on my door.
Well, now I like
it. Oh my God. Don't bother me.
Well, now I like it because kids are knocking on my door. Yeah. I don't have to go get. No, it's a joke. It's a joke.
Now he doesn't have to gas up the windowless van. He can just sit there and wait for them to come to him. Doesn't have to drive around and offer them candy. They come to his door.
Oh my God.
No, but there's a lot of holidays, So I'm looking forward to Christmas a lot and New Year's. So it's an enjoyable time. Plus the coats. There's not that much snow, but then January and February hits hard, man.
Yeah,
that's true though. I mean, obviously, maybe, I don't know if global warming or whatever it is, but
global boiling now.
Yeah, I mean, I've noticed that winter comes much later. I personally love that. I love the fact that a couple years ago we were celebrating Christmas and there hadn't been an inch of snow. I remember that.
Nah, Christmas needs snow, bro.
Not for me. I could care less. I don't give a shit. I've spent Christmas in Greece, and it was the most fantastic fucking Christmas
Does it snow
ever.
anywhere in Greece besides
the
mountains?
It snows. Yeah, like in the northern part of Greece, it'll snow. Even in Athens, it'll snow. Because I mean, with global warming, you get the extremes, right? So countries like Greece are suffering extreme weather conditions,
extreme heat in the summer.
So they had never seen snow before in the last couple of years.
How many degrees?
I don't know how many degrees, man, but the weather is different in Greece because it's there's no humidity. Like if it's -5 or -8, you feel it. It penetrates. It goes right to your bones, man. So anyway, but so I appreciate the fact that snow takes time to come. It makes winter feel smaller because like if it starts snowing end of October, then you know that okay, whatever. It's only 2 more months until March, and then you know that it's going to start melting, right? So. Psychologically, for me, it's better.
Yeah, I think it helps if you embrace it. Like if you're a skier,
I ski, but I don't like it.
No, well,
that's weird to say.
You'd have
I can
to like
ski,
it,
but I don't like it.
Yeah.
My wife has been pushing us to go because we had taken my oldest daughter once. She loved it, but I'm just one of those lazy people that doesn't want to just do things, man.
You know what I really like in the wintertime, except I can't afford it, but I have some friends who do it, so I piggyback on their dime sometimes. Snowmobile.
Oh, nah.
Yeah, that's fun. That's fun, man. And
I've never gone.
Oh, it's an absolute hoot doing
Yeah.
70 miles an hour across a frozen lake.
You could do 70 miles an hour.
Oh, those things go
easy,
fast,
yeah.
dude.
70 is not. You're not even at top speed yet. Those
No
fucking
way.
things can move.
God
yeah.
damn.
And there are and Quebec's really big time snowmobiling
huge.
country.
Yeah.
There's some beautiful trails cut through the woods in different parts of the province. There are actually there are like rest areas, restaurants and stuff along the trails, like cabana souks in the middle of nowhere that you can only get to by snowmobile.
snowmobile. That's fantastic.
So you skidoo in there and you stop and you eat, and it's just on a nice winter day. It's really nice. It's a lot of fun.
That's cool.
Too rich for my blood though. That's an expensive
Well,
sport.
what do
How much would
snowmobiles
it,
go
let's
for?
say you want to go once, right?
Well, I mean, you can rent, no, or
I'm not sure, but a new one and a nice one, I don't know, but I would guess off the top of my head, you're probably looking at 10 grand. Anyway.
Yeah.
Like motorcycles, probably similar price points to motorcycles. And again, I'm talking out of my ass here.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
for sure, but
I mean,
know,
look, if-
I know
yeah.
it's out of my price range.
But I mean, if you're passionate about it and you know that every weekend or every week come December you're out there, it could be worth it. But
Holy shit, it's expensive.
how much
Yeah.
is it?
So for the day, if you want to rent, it's $379 per day.
Okay,
That's not terrible.
That's not
And
bad.
then
It's not as
200
bad as I thought.
yeah.
probably should give like a couple $1,000
$279 per 3 hours. So you may as well rent for the
for the
day.
day. Yeah,
Let's say at Mont Tremblant.
that was in Tremblant, 300.
No, that was a snowmobile rental Tremblant below zero. It's a place in Tremblant, but not like the town.
Yeah.
But-
But Tremblant gonna probably rape you.
Yeah.
I'd
Oh,
be curious to know what they retail for now too, and I don't even know what the big brands are now. Maybe Polaris.
Bombardier has.
Bombardier
they're
does
pretty big in that
Bombardier
market.
does skidoo, but I mean that I don't know if they still. Honestly, I'm so out of touch with that sport. Back in the day, it used to be Polaris, Skidoo, Arctic Cat, Yamaha made them.
Yeah, but there's a place like for the day. They're saying at Tremblant for an hour 45 minutes to 2 hour duration. It's $282. No, to $220.
That's not so bad.
Canadian.
That's not so bad.
But for 2 hours. But there's this other place that's for the day. They give it to you $379, and you're on your own. You do whatever you want.
Yeah.
You also have to. You got to be dressed for it. Of
course.
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah, and you know
you
and
can't go there with
it's-
your
well,
jeans and your
it's-
little.
Yeah, it's like motorcycling. There's clothing that is specific to the sport, and helmets with intercoms and the whole 9 yards. But it's fun. It's a lot of fun. For $300 or $400, if you're looking for something to do on a winter day, sometimes something special, you want to spend a little dough. I would suggest checking it out.
Yeah.
I always enjoyed it. I haven't gone in about 10 years. I have a buddy up on Lake McDonald up north of Lachute, and he's got a couple of machines and like big ass honking like 500 cc. And,
Wow.
And they just fly, these things. They just fly. Lots of fun. Almost killed myself on one when I was 15.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I've
There's a
done
lot- there's a lot of
I've done the Sea-Doo, the one on the water.
Fun.
Oh my god, it's insane.
Same thing. It's the same thing, only instead of being on the water, you're on the snow.
But they told me do not go over 60 miles an hour. And the
You did
first
it.
thing I did was go 70 miles an
yeah,
hour.
well, if you fall off one of those on the water, it's like falling on concrete.
Yeah.
Is it worse than
The
falling
water-
off the snowmobile? I think it's worse.
Probably because if you fall into deep snow, you're cushioned, right?
Yeah.
Water at speed is like hitting
You're
concrete.
fucked.
Yeah. It's like hitting concrete and then it absorbs you.
Yeah.
But the instant
and then
impact.
you skip across it.
Yeah. You break at best case scenario, you have a few broken limbs.
Like,
Yeah. But it's
all
like
right,
when
we
I
better
went
st-
70
we
miles.
better stay indoors.
Yeah, just stay home. Fuck.
Yeah.
Stay home. Stay depressed because it's dark outside.
yeah.
That's the better
Dude,
option.
it was crazy. When I went 70 miles an hour, it was like I wasn't even touching the water anymore.
Really, eh?
Yeah, it was crazy. You know what else you'd really enjoy if you enjoy snowmobiling? And it's not as dangerous.
Cross country skiing.
No,
Fuck
four-wheelers.
Oh, yeah.
You do
Yeah,
love
those
it.
look like fun.
I tried, I was at Mike's place and he's like, yo, just take the four-wheeler, have fun. And I had a fucking blast, man, on the trail and shit. It
Yeah.
was a lot of fun.
Cross country skiing looks hard, man. That looks hard.
That was a joke.
I know it was a joke. But how about the biathlon, though, eh? Who came up with that idea? How about we cross-country ski for a while, and then we'll shoot a rifle? Fire off a few rounds.
But that's challenging. Can you imagine keeping yourself composed to shoot?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what distance.
Yeah, when your legs would feel like licorice Twizzlers after you've just cross-country skied 30K, right?
Oh, my God.
God damn.
So what's in the news there, Ted?
Well, cancel culture had a big week between Russell Brand,
Yeah.
the actor / comedian and presenter. I like the way they in the UK he's a presenter.
Presenter.
Presenter Russell Brand has been accused of rape, and Mike Babcock, before he even coached his first game as head coach of the Columbus Blue Jackets, resigned for the weirdest reason. He asked one of his players if he could see some pictures on his phone, on his picture roll on his phone. The team captain, Boone Jenner, to get to know him better. Show me some pictures of your family off your phone. And then he put them up on a screen in his office. And Jenner was cool with it. He said, yeah, well, whatever. I got no problem with it. And Columbus's other big star, Johnny Gaudreau, said, I'm cool with that, with what the coach did. It's not a big deal. But there was a backlash to the point where he resigned. Like it became, the damage control became too much. And he said, well, you know what? I'm going to step away. It's too big of a distraction.
But wasn't there backstories also, like other stories that came out when he used to coach other teams?
Yeah, well, when he has long been accused of creating a toxic work environment, of being a bully, of being verbally abusive. That goes back to his days with the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I'm not sure, I haven't heard any specific stories from when he coached Detroit, but that's his reputation. And it finally caught up with him. It doesn't seem to me like necessarily a reason to quit your job. I can't get people to look at pictures on my phone. Want to see pictures of my kids? Fuck that. No, I'm busy, man.
Hold on. What was on the screen on his phone?
It was just family pictures or
Family
whatever.
pictures, yeah.
And he got backlash for that?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's bizarre.
Yeah, well, here's my guess. He tried too hard to relate or to do something that was relatable to younger players. I think that's what he was doing. He was just trying to be relatable. Right. Okay, man, pull your phone out. Show me some pictures of your family. I had something similar happen to me. I was trying to relate to my 15-year-old daughter and her friend. I was driving them to the metro a few weeks ago. And they're both sitting in the back, and I'm alone in the front, right?
That's weird.
And they're both on their phones, and nobody's talking.
That's awkward, man.
And I'm trying. Yeah, it was awkward.
You shouldn't have let that happen. First of all, someone has to sit in the front, or else the car's not moving.
Well, yeah, but they're 15-year-old girls, right? So I'm trying to break the ice, and I'm playing some music, one of my playlists, and I said, "Hey, you guys ever hear this guy before? He's an artist from Ottawa. He goes by the name of Talk." And I said, yeah, he's from Ottawa. I said, he's very talented, bit of a weird cat. I think he might be non-binary. And my daughter turns to her friend and goes, see, I told you he'd say something stupid. And it was stupid. It was me trying too hard to be relatable to them. What can I say to them that they'll relate to? I'll play the non-binary card. That'll make me seem hip and au courant. And instead, I just get the big eye roll and shut up, Dad. So I think that might have been what happened with Babcock. He was trying to be relatable to a younger generation of hockey player, and he fucked it up. It was not relatable. It ended up being awkward and
yeah. But you would
Hold
think
on.
that especially if the players are okay, and if they came out, I don't know, I haven't read the story, but if they came out and say, "Oh man, it's okay, man, the guy just want a couple pictures, whatever," you would think that the league or the team would say, look, man, it's a non-issue. Fuck it,
The two biggest stars in the team said it was okay with them, but it was reported that a lot of the younger players didn't like it. And the report originated with Paul Bissonnette, who is a former NHL player who hosts a podcast called Spit and Chicklets, which I think it's probably the most popular hockey podcast. And he's also, I think he's on TNT Hockey. And anyway, he's a big deal. He's very influential. He was a journeyman player, but as a broadcaster and podcaster post-playing career, he's become very influential. And he drove the story. And that's what gave it legs and credibility to the point where Babcock finally went, you know what? It's not worth it for me. It's not worth it for the team.
But he's done now, right? I mean,
I would think, yeah. I think he's 60 years old. I don't think anyone is going to pick him up after this. Very successful coach. He won at least one Stanley Cup, I believe, with Detroit. He had some success with Toronto. They never won the cup, but I think he helped turn that franchise around. But yeah, at 60 years of age, you're getting long in the tooth in any career, really. That you're on the back nine at 60, and in a milieu like hockey, where you're trying to lead and relate to, a generation that's young enough to be, your kids and maybe even close to your grandkids. A fuck up like that. That's kind of the end of the road, I think.
See, for me, it's first of all, 60 is still young in my view, but especially in an area like sports, especially hockey, these older guys, the experience that they have is often, at least from the way I see it, is often looked after. Like you seek in this kind of a sport. No, like you want the more experienced people, regardless of the age. The younger people, I think they're kind of groomed into this mentality of mentorship, and they look up to the coaching staff. And it always appeared to me that the older you are, the more respect you have, and the more success that you may have. Like there's been older coaches in the
Well, again, I think it's on a case by case basis. The nature of his personality is such that. It came back finally and bit him in the ass, I think. And, another example of someone getting canceled for being old and crotchety is Don Cherry. Like Don Cherry was widely reviled by the younger generation.
But Don Cherry, it's not like he was like a coach that took care of his players and kind of taught them and gave them advice.
Well, he was a coach decades ago.
But when he got canceled, he was saying a lot of controversial things too. I liked Don Cherry.
Yeah.
I love the chemistry between him and Ron McLean. I don't even remember what he was canceled for. I can't remember.
For saying, "You people."
Are you kidding
you
me?
You people. He was talking about. It was Remembrance Day, and he was always
he was big on that. Yeah.
He was always big on honoring the veterans, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was mad that people were not wearing poppies.
That's right.
And the way he presented it was he was taking a shot at immigrants. He said, "You people come over here, and you take our milk and honey, but you don't wear the poppy to honor our veterans who fought and died for our way of life."
Yeah, it's a little excessive.
Yeah, it is. And Hockey Night in Canada, to me, is not the that's not the platform for that discussion. Talk to me about hockey.
Yeah. See, it's different. But with look, I'll be honest with you. I find it a bit strange that he would ask for pictures. He's like, dude, what the fuck?
Yeah, well, I thought it was weird too.
Like,
I thought it was weird, but I didn't think it was a firing
I get
offense.
you want to relate to us, and with time, you'll gain our trust, and don't worry, you'll get to meet our families. In any case, there's this tradition where wives and kids get involved, and there's this whole ecosystem around the team, outside the players and the coaches. So don't worry about that. It's like, what the fuck do you want my pictures for? Like, I would have found that weird.
It is weird.
But I don't think it's strange to the point where it's like, okay, buddy, you got to go.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's useless pressure, I think. And
look, personally, I'd be like, go fuck yourself if he asked to see my pictures. But I don't know, to fire the guy over there?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Well, they didn't
exactly.
fire him. He resigned.
They forced him to resign.
Yeah, but
pretty much.
that's what I'm saying. Like, he didn't just wake up and say, you know what, I'm tired of this. I'm not gonna go, along with it. There was pressure.
No, they wanted to get rid of him. They had regretted their decision or whatever by hiring him, and they used this. This was like the first thing they could get to.
Yeah, well, they only hired him 2.5 months ago. He hadn't even, he was hired in July. He hadn't even coached a game yet. They hired him because he's got a long and successful track record as an NHL coach. It just turned out to be a case of, here's a guy who, like I say, I think it was a miscalculation on his part.
Yeah.
In terms of trying to figure out how to relate to a younger generation of hockey player. So anyway, that's the end of Mike Babcock.
That's funny though. Could you imagine in the locker room, he's breathing heavily. hey man, what's up? He's trying to be cool. Hey, show me your pictures. I'll show you mine. You're like, what?
Yeah. Meanwhile, the kid from the Canadians, Logan Mayer, who was criminally charged in Sweden because he shared pictures. He took intimate photographs of a woman who he was having sex with, and then shared them with his teammates, and was criminally charged in Sweden. But he was. He was raked over the coals for it, and it caused a big controversy. But he wasn't run out of the game, and in fact, the
league actually cleared him to.
The league cleared him to play, and he's expected to start with the Canadians' Laval farm team this year if he doesn't make the Habs. And I guess that will depend on how good a training camp he has and what kind of injuries they have on the blue line. But that seems to me to be a more serious offense. Well, it doesn't seem to. It is. That's a criminal offense, what he did.
Well, yeah.
And, he's getting a second chance, but with Babcock, it's here's your hat, what's your hurry? But as you were saying, Babcock's got a reputation, and I think he's made a lot of enemies along the way, and a lot of people are happy to see him go and are happy to help usher him out the door. The hockey media, interestingly, is probably the most woke sports media that's out there. There are some real woke elements in the hockey media. And I think it's because hockey is such a white sport. It's so white, hockey, that some of these woke journalists really like to set their sights on that and become very activist in terms of trying to change the culture of the game.
Are there any counter-current kind of guys in hockey broadcasting?
How do you mean by countercurrent?
Like not following, this whole wokeist movement.
Well, there are a lot of guys who just
like
do
who's
their
out there
jobs.
supporting Babcock?
I don't know. I haven't seen anyone speak out in support of him. You wouldn't dare, really. You wouldn't dare because you would get shouted down. I think at most you would say what we've just said here today. Kind of weird what he did, but a firing offense or a resignation offense?
But you can almost expect that, right, from the journalists. I mean, they're sitting on such huge contracts for broadcasting rights and everything. You got to be careful, right? It's like you're always kind of on thin ice. You don't want to offend anyone. You just want to be right down the middle.
Yeah.
Don't take any sides. Don't push the agenda too much. Just do your job. Be as objective as possible. Comment what you see. And that's it,
Yeah, or just go full on woke because nobody's gonna fling you out the door.
Right,
that.
Right.
You'll just the.
I don't know. Like I told you before, I listen to French radio, and even with the Canadians, it's Martin Maguire, and those guys are real professionals, So they always, hold the line, and they're never
that's
too.
What I like. I like Elliot Friedman on Sportsnet and Hockey Night in Canada. Elliot Friedman is he's very much down the middle. He's always measured. He doesn't have an agenda, and if he does make a comment, it's always fair commentary, and it's well thought out, and it's reasonable. I heard a great story about him. I remember him 20 years ago, maybe even more, when he was working for a network. I don't even think it exists anymore. It was called The Score. I think it got.
The TV channel, The Score.
Yeah, The Score.
Yeah. Is it still around? I remember The Score.
Yeah, I believe it might have been absorbed by Sportsnet or one of the.
Wasn't that part of
networks.
TSN though? The Score,
I don't think so.
Okay? I remember The Score.
Anyway, he was on The Score, and he was young, and he had these highlights in his hair. And I used to see him on TV, and I go, "This fucking guy with the highlights in his hair." He thinks he's so fucking cool, And so I had a resentment against him.
Just because of his hair.
Because of his hair, yeah. And then a buddy of mine who's in the Toronto sports media told me a story. Elliot Friedman, he said, was walking through a shopping mall in Toronto one day, and a man came up to him and said, listen, he said, my son would like to meet you, but he's very shy because he's going through chemotherapy for cancer, and he doesn't have his hair. His hair all fell out, so he's really self-conscious and shy about it. And Elliot Friedman said, introduce me to him. So the guy takes him over, and he meets the guy's son and has a nice talk with him and everything. And then he goes home and shaves his head.
In support of the kids.
And the next time he was on TV, his hair was gone. His head was shaved. And that's the reason he did it.
Yeah.
To support that kid and to make the kid feel better about himself. And so here's me sitting at home feeling about this big. That fucking guy. Oh.
Oh, he's actually nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. He actually has a heart.
Beyond nice. He's a good person. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
So I've been a huge fan ever since.
Let's talk a little bit about Russell Brand because, what's happening. Look, we're not going to get into this discussion of, what's right and what's wrong, but this cancel culture, and it's always, for me, it's always touchy when it comes to assault or rape, anything related with, sexual assault, because you don't want to undermine the victims, and you want to encourage them to come out and denounce always, because we know that the reality is such that they stay quiet, they're afraid, they're embarrassed sometimes, they don't trust the system. There's all these elements that can come into play. But at the same time, and especially when we're dealing with public figures, and I have firsthand experience with that as well. Not me personally, but
through your work in politics,
exactly.
Yeah.
The court of public opinion destroys your fucking life.
Well, especially now with social media.
Exactly. So, I don't know what happened. If this guy actually did rape any women, he should suffer whatever consequences that he deserves. But can we not forget that there is a very important principle that is the presumption of innocence? And we can't be destroying people's lives. And this, I'm saying it, I don't want to undermine the other side of the story here. This has nothing to do with them. We have to encourage women or even men to denounce. But at the same time, let's not forget this principle. And it's a very important principle, and we seem to always forget it. We always rush to support the victims. And maybe, I don't know, maybe we're right to do so. I don't know. That's the debate I want to avoid getting into. The point I'm trying to make is that this is a guy who's lost all his contracts. His comedy tour has been canceled. His own manager abandoned him. His YouTube channel got demonetized.
Yep.
So he's lost...
Paramount Pictures has cut ties with him. Apparently.
So he's lost all his livelihood, and he still hasn't even appeared in court.
No,
for
well,
a minute.
I don't even think that there's been a criminal investigation. My understanding is the allegations are entirely media driven. The allegations are a result of a media investigation, and to my knowledge, there have been no police charges filed. I don't even know that there's been a police investigation. So on that basis, it smacks of a witch hunt.
It could be. It certainly looks like it. But I always think of the outcome. What happens if this guy finally is cleared? There's absolutely no charges. Do you honestly believe that he can come back and start over? Look at Kevin Spacey. And again, I'm not here, high-fiving Kevin Spacey. We don't know what happened, and we don't know how the procedures went on. But at the end of the day, you have to look at the decision, and he's been cleared so far. But he's been blacklisted.
His career
almost
was
forever.
destroyed.
He's done. He's finished, right? Again, not undermining the side of the victims over here, or the alleged victims, or supposed victims, but we have to take into consideration both sides, right? We can't be destroying people's lives just like that, and it's easy to do nowadays. It's so easy. You're saying that. There's so many things on social media, and then you have other huge personalities. I was following Megyn Kelly on YouTube, who's destroying him.
Megyn Kelly is going after Russell Brand?
Oh, my goodness.
Interesting.
Shit, she's...
Because I would have thought that that her position would have been
she's destroying
presumption
him.
of innocence
No,
due process.
She's destroying him.
Really? What's she saying?
Destroying him. She basically, her argument is we have to stop with the argument that what we just said now, right? There's a presumption of innocence. Let's just wait to see. She goes, that's so unfair. We need to support the people coming out with these, the victims basically, because they're often shut down and they always stay behind, and we have to encourage them to come out. Yeah, we do. But at the same time, can we do that without destroying someone else's life before he even steps in court? So she's completely annihilating him. So she gets millions of viewers. And she's not the only one. There's a lot of people out there.
I'm going to listen to. I didn't realize that. I'm going to listen to her podcast.
Yeah.
I guess that was this week, was it? Or last?
She's going hard on him.
Yeah. Interesting. He's very combative, Russell Brand, and I would think that if nothing comes of the allegations as a criminal matter, I would not be surprised to see him take legal action against at least the media organizations who've driven this investigation and who've driven these
because his life is
allegations.
destroyed.
Yeah,
He's finished.
yeah.
And I've lived that.
If anyone's going to go down fighting,
It's definitely
It's
him.
him.
I mean,
Yeah.
he's putting up content, right? He's still putting up. I haven't checked his page.
yeah. Well, he has a podcast. He has at least one podcast, I think.
Yeah.
Although, you know what? I've been looking. I was trying to find some stuff about him on podcast content this week, and it seemed to me that his own podcast had not put up. It's not Russell Brand, is it? He had not put up anything on his own Under the Skin.
Okay, so the clip I saw is probably old. I think he came out and he kind of warned people that something was coming.
Well,
right?
he preemptively denied the allegations. He was aware that the allegations were coming out, and before the media organizations did the story, he preemptively said, I'm not guilty of what I'm about to be accused of. Yeah, I don't see anything here. Here's it. 4 days ago, he's talking with Deepak Chopra, so that's obviously got.
So that didn't. Yeah.
Yeah, here's another one, another Russell Brand podcast. Cripes. Latest episode in that one is 2022, so I guess maybe that's a defunct.
Do you want me to bring
podcast
anything up on the
No. We're just looking to see when his latest uploads were, because we're wondering if he's still actively putting up content. Because I had seen something, maybe it was that older episode where he preemptively kind of came out and warned everyone about what was coming down. Look, for me, this has always been a very delicate matter because I've lived through something like this too, and I was, on the PR and communication side of it, and it was so fucking messed up because you don't know anything. Nobody does shit and comes, hey, bro, you know what I did? Oh, this. Like, nobody knows. So that's from one day to the next, boom, there's an article that comes out in the media, and then it's fucking raining. All this, all these things are coming down. But so you don't know exactly what side to take. But at the end of the day, when you look back, like, when you go back to these things, and you realize that, look, finally nothing ended up happening. You're clear of these charges or whatever. But your fucking life is over. So you kind of almost feel like going back to, knocking on the door of all these people that badmouthed you or that fucking, destroyed you all this time and say, can we get an apology? Like, what happens now with Megyn Kelly if this guy's cleared, if he's innocent? Is she gonna post another episode apologizing for everything that she said?
I don't know.
Or not only her, anyone.
Yeah.
should have charges against her for
You know what I
lying
mean?
like that.
So-
I suppose it would depend on, whether she said anything libelous or slanderous. But as I said, I think that if he ultimately is not charged and if his name is cleared, I think, if there's anyone who would look for retribution or restitution, it would be him because
look at the money he's losing,
very
Ted.
combative.
His tour is canceled. We're talking
Yeah.
about millions of dollars.
Yeah.
His YouTube channel, I don't know what kind of monetization he's getting, but
I think
I'm
it's
sure
pretty good. I think he's over 6 million followers on his.
Fuck,
on his
so that
YouTube
must be
channel.
that
big
must
money.
be a steady
Yeah.
revenue there.
Yeah.
What else? His manager, you can find another manager. That's not a big deal. But a Hollywood studio dumping your ass.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of fucking money.
Yeah, and it's everybody running for cover too, rather than waiting to see how it plays out. rather than
everyone
waiting
wants to
see-
wash their hands. Oh no,
Yeah,
we got nothing to do with him.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's poisoned now. He's poisoned. They want nothing to do with him. There's an interesting school of thought that I've seen on Twitter that he's being targeted because he's been very vocal against public health
The measures.
measures during the pandemic.
Okay.
He's vocal against the.
Yeah, but he's not the only one. I mean,
No,
there's
I know.
so many. Yeah.
But he's really like he's got a big voice and a big platform. I don't know if you've got that tweet, Poseidon, that I sent when I sent the link to the story.
By text?
No, by email. I emailed you and George. It was when he was on Bill Maher.
Okay, yeah.
And he was talking about. He was basically on an anti-establishment rant, and a few people posted that and said, "Here's a good reason why this guy would be targeted, to be silenced / canceled. And you could even see he was even making Bill Maher nervous and uncomfortable.
Of all people.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And you know, Bill Maher doesn't pull any punches. He's a pretty straight shooter.
Sure.
And he says what's on his mind. But when Russell Brand got on a roll, you could see Bill Maher kind of pulling back and going, whoa, hang on, just wait a minute.
He's special because I always felt that he was very eloquent, and this guy could express himself in ways that others can't.
Yeah.
You got it?
It's a clip on Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yes.
There he is.
What the fuck is this? Oh, okay. Uno momento, por favor, senor.
It's a little triangle you normally...
40 new big pharma billionaires. Pharmaceutical corporations like Moderna and Pfizer made $1,000 of profit every second from the COVID-19 vaccine. More than two-thirds of Congress received campaign funding from pharmaceutical companies in the 2020 election. Pfizer chairman Albert Bourla told Time magazine in July 2020 that his company was developing a COVID vaccine for the good of humanity, not for money. And of course, Pfizer made $100 billion in profit in 2022. And may I just mention that finally, and this is also a fact, that you, the American public, funded the development of that. The German public funded the BioNTech vaccine. When it came to the profits, they took the profits. When it came to the funding, you paid for the funding. It's difficult not to...
But I will just add one thing. It is possible that these are greedy capitalists who made a lot of money.
All I'm querying is this.
Yes.
Is if you have an economic system in which pharmaceutical companies benefit hugely from medical emergencies, where a military-industrial complex benefits from war, where energy companies benefit from energy crises, you are going to generate states of perpetual crisis, where the interests of ordinary people separate from the interests of the elite.
And cottage industries.
And Bill...
Once you create an industry like checking you, I still get checked to see if I have COVID because it's a cottage industry. People started making money by sending a nurse to my house, and now no one wants to give up that gravy train.
Yeah.
So he's taken on some pretty big, pretty heavy hitters.
But he's not the only one.
No, but he's as high profile as it gets.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people think that he's being targeted by pharmaceutical interests, by political lobbies, by the military-industrial complex, because he's being so vocal against them. They're trying to shut him down.
Look, he's been very vocal about his past life as well, right?
Yep.
The ups and downs that he's had, the drug abuse, the alcohol.
Yeah, well, he says, by his own admission, he says at the time of these allegations that these alleged sexual assaults supposedly took place, he said he was at a very
dark place,
promiscuous time in his life, sexually promiscuous time.
Yeah. It still doesn't justify rape.
No, for sure.
If
No,
that's what he
absolutely
did,
not.
right?
And he wasn't trying to justify anything. He was just acknowledging that he was very sexually active at that time.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't a surprise that a number of women, would have said, "Yes, I was sexually involved."
Yeah.
How many women came out like with allegations? Just one?
I don't know.
No, there was more than one. I think that there were a number. I don't know the exact number, but there were several at least, to my understanding.
Look, I'll be honest with you. I think the Me Too movement was probably necessary because it was encouraging to these women or even men that were kind of holding themselves back from denouncing, especially, in these huge industries where, all these things have started to come out, producers, directors, and all these things. At the same time, though, there's a system in place. Now, if the system needs to be changed, it's a whole other story. I know here in Quebec, the Legault government put in place certain measures to accelerate the procedures and to accompany the women or the victims better. So I think that's, there's good work being done on that front. But at the same time, you also, this is the justice system. You got to protect both parties until, the decision is made. That's what it is, right?
Well, the horse is out of the barn with social media. It doesn't, the justice system is almost secondary at this point.
Like,
he's been tried and convicted in the court of public opinion.
He's done.
And you cited the Kevin Spacey precedent. There's no coming back from that. You know, I wasn't even aware that Kevin Spacey had ultimately been.
It came out recently, a couple of weeks ago, I think.
Really?
But there's still more cases left, so who knows what's going to happen. But at least the one that he was charged with, he was cleared. And I think the article I read is that he's going to start again acting in France, was it? Or in England? I can't remember which European country he's in.
It'd be interesting to see whether he'd be able to make a comeback, because that's a talented actor. That's Kevin Spacey.
Man.
Fantastic artist. Very gifted.
But again, it just goes to show that with all this wave against him, I thought, fuck, this guy's a fucking pig. Like, it gets you. It gets to you. You're like, shit, what a disgusting animal.
Yeah.
You know, going after children and whatever. Was that the one that he
was
got?
that an allegation against him too?
Yeah, there was like a young boy or something like that at some point. I don't remember. I don't want to say just nonsense, and I don't know if that's the one that he got cleared for. I'm not sure. I just know that he was just cleared of some or a charge. I can't remember. There's still more to come.
No, I think what happened was his alleged victims disappeared or some shit. Like they went missing. That's what I heard.
What? Really?
Yeah. The boys that are now men that came out with this, apparently they've gone.
Well, that's suspicious.
I don't know how true that is. This is things I hear.
I don't know if we're talking about the same thing, because I just know that he was clear on one of those things. But I mean, look, I've seen it in politics, and it's destroyed lives. Well, the one case that's existed here in Quebec. Actually, no, there's been more.
Was it agenda driven? Or was it a legitimate?
I don't know. I don't know if there was an agenda behind it. All I know is that at the end, nothing happened. It was one allegation that didn't even go to court. It was the Bureau des Poursuites Criminelles. So the prosecutor's office just wrote black on white, there was no criminal act committed. So I don't know what kind of proof they had accumulated from the police investigation and all that. But it ended there. It didn't even go to court. And it just ended. They're like, don't bother. So I know behind the scenes there was a bunch of stuff that came out to the effect that this is a repetitive kind of thing that the supposed victim was involved in. It's not the first time that she tried to
wasn't the first time she accused somebody.
Yeah, exactly. To accuse someone. Yeah. In any case. You can't do fuck all with that.
No.
You can't do anything with that after that. Like, your life is finished.
Maybe Mike Babcock and Russell Brand could get together and do a podcast and show each other the pictures off their phones.
Hey, Russell, show me your videos.
Yeah. Show me the pictures of naked girls, Russell.
Speaking of movies, you saw a movie recently. You sent it to us, and you seem to... I haven't seen it. I've never even heard of this movie.
No, I hadn't even heard of it either, and I just came across it. It popped up on my... I think I was watching some... I was watching some YouTube videos, and I think a scene from it popped up, and I thought, that looks really interesting.
Is this movie out, or is it just a preview?
It came out last year.
I have the link ready if you want.
It came out last year. It's called...
The Inspection.
Yeah, it's called The Inspection. It's a true story of a guy named Elegance Bratton. And
that's a nice name.
Isn't that that's a hell of a
Elegance
name, eh?
Bratton.
Elegance Bratton. A young black man whose mother rejected him because he was gay. And he lived on the streets for about 10 years, and then he decided to join the Marines. And part of his motivation in joining the Marines was to try to win back his mother's love and respect.
Yeah.
And I love anything to do with... I love military movies and anything to do with watching... young men go through the crucible of boot camp and getting to graduation. It's just they're just like those concepts of honor and loyalty and all that. I just love that stuff. So I watched this movie, and you ever watch a movie that you think about it for an hour after you're done watching?
Oh, yeah.
Like I had that happen with The Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah.
Dead Man Walking did that to me. And this movie did it to me as well. And any military boot camp movie needs two things. It needs a good recruit and it needs a good drill sergeant.
Yeah.
And both actors were fantastic in this. Jeremy Pope played Elegance Bratton, and Bokeem Woodbine is the name of the actor who played the drill sergeant. And they were both fantastic. And I just, it's not an action movie. It's some people might even think it's slow, and maybe it appealed to me because I like that genre of movie. But watching the relationship between him as a gay man in Marine boot camp, and they sniffed him out right away. Like the other guys sniffed him out right away, and they beat the shit out of him in the shower. But eventually, over time, during basic training, he won their respect.
Right.
And at the end of the movie, and I'll give away the ending, his mom comes to his graduation.
Yeah.
And she says, and she's sitting there with him. They're after the graduation ceremony. They're all in the cafeteria at the base, and she says to him, he's sitting there. He's got his uniform on. He looks like $1 million. And she says, when you come home, you're going to have your pick of the girls. And he says, Mom, joining the Marines didn't make me not gay. I still am who I am. And she rejects him again.
No.
Yeah.
If anything, it made him more gay.
One of the other guys, he has a relationship. He has a gay relationship with one of the drill sergeants, who turns out to be, I think he's bi actually. I think he's married or has a girlfriend. Anyway, he has a relationship with this guy, and this guy says to him, if they kicked all the gays out of the military, there wouldn't be a military.
That's fucked up.
Really?
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
Huh.
And it was, I just thought it was a really interesting premise, and it was a beautifully told story. And Elegance Bratton himself wrote and directed it, and he actually became a filmmaker through the Marines, because when Marines complete boot camp, you get assigned to whatever you're going to do, whether you're going to be infantry, whether you're going to be intelligence. He was assigned to be a filmmaker, Marine photographer and filmmaker, right? So if he had gone into combat, he would have been like a combat cameraman type of thing. So that's how he got into filmmaking, and he ended up making this movie. And the movie didn't do anything in the box office. I looked at I think it cost $3 million to make, and it didn't even make $1 million. But I thought it was just fantastic. And to me, there's nothing more compelling than the truth. And that's what I really liked about it. It was a true story.
Yeah.
And you can't make up something like that. The truth is always more compelling than anything you could make up. To me, I just thought it was a fantastic movie. It's called The Inspection. And I found it on. I went on my Apple, the Apple Store, and I rented it and watched it last week. Really enjoyed it.
Awesome.
A lot.
Do you want to watch the trailer? You sent me the trailer.
Sure, if you want to watch the trailer.
As long as there's not any gay activity, I'm fine.
Don't worry about it, Poseidon.
It's a joke.
Yeah. I'll give you 5 minutes to take your hand off my leg.
Shit. I want to play it, but very low.
Okay. Why'd I have to play it low so we don't get flagged?
I think so.
Oh, there's the drill sergeant. He was so good.
He's a good actor. Yeah. He played in Ray. He played one of Ray's musicians.
Wait, what did he say?
He said, have you ever been a homosexual? And he goes, no, sir. Meanwhile, he's as gay as the day is long.
Are you in trouble? Ma, I need my birth certificate. I need you to help me. I'm gonna be a Marine. Marine. No, you ain't gayer than two left shoes, and everybody can see it.
More than 50 have been wounded or injured in this attack, including several American servicemen who were on patrol there.
This all I have left of the dream I held for you.
She was good too.
Pom pom pom.
Real question is, why do you want to be here?
I want to be a Marine.
That's not good enough.
To be a good Marine means to know thyself and seek self-improvement. That means you, damn it! Aye, sir!
Oh shit.
They kicked you out, didn't they?
My mom, she won't even talk to me. Most of my friends are dead or in jail. If I die in this uniform, I'm a hero. somebody. Bootcamp is supposed to break you down. Wanna go home? If we leave, they win.
Why is this weapon your best friend, recruit?
Because it's the thing that protects the Marine to my left and to my right, sir. I could have left you.
Oh, look out, Poseidon.
I am never giving up on us.
You know,
All right,
I
now
never
I'm gonna-
understood I never understood the beating up of gay men.
Well, you're not going to beat it out of them. You know, when I was a teenager, there was a guy who always used to say, in Fredericton, there was a place where the gay guys would hang out down by the river called the Green, and they would go and they would cruise for each other down there.
Down by
And
the
there was a guy in our gang of teenagers. Let's go to the Green and beat up fags, man. Let's go beat up the fags.
But where does
man."
that? I'm
Well, wait a minute.
confused. Sorry,
Guess what?
he was gay.
He was gay.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah. He came out, later on in his 20s. And yeah.
Guys, I didn't want to beat them up. I wanted to beat them off. You guys misunderstood.
Misunderstood what I was saying. But that's very common,
I
though.
saw that coming like a fucking cab with its doors open rolling down a hill, and it was still funny.
No, but that's very common, though. Like they haven't accepted it yet, or they're questioning
the people
it.
who are
and,
most
yeah.
virulently homophobic, often turn out to be gay themselves. But to me, now it's such a non-factor. Now he's gay. So what?
Yeah.
So what? And you saw in the movie, those guys don't give a shit, man. As long as you're protecting the guy to your left and the guy to your right, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
As long as they can count on you in combat, nothing else matters.
I wonder if it's still a taboo thing in the military.
I don't think so.
No?
No.
Okay.
No. You should see some of the military's actually become quite woke.
Oh yeah.
Some of the recruitment publicity in the U.S. military, and I think even in the Canadian military. And I see it too because I do social media for veterans, a couple of veterans advocacy and military remembrance projects, and you see a lot of the contacts who come up in people in military capacities. They list their pronouns. Yeah, like Major so and so. He, him, or they, them, and yeah. And again, I don't give a shit just as long as it doesn't impact or detract from their ability to do what they're supposed to do, which is defend us.
Yeah, exactly.
If our national security is going to be compromised by they, them, then we got to do something about they, them. But if it's not, then whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan. It's not my thing. But, if you want to call yourself they, them, knock yourself out. Just make sure that, the fucking Chinese don't come and take over in the middle of the night.
But this could actually be also a tactic on their part. You know what I mean? So when one person shows up and it's they, them, the enemy gets confused and it thinks it's like multiple people. So like,
strategy.
Quite the military analyst, eh?
They're coming. So then it's like, what they? Well, sure, there's a lot
Let's
of them.
go to the foreign affairs and military desk and Poseidon, who's going to break that down for us.
and one flamboyant gay guy shows up. We don't appreciate.
I don't remember which conflict Russia was engaged in. It's like maybe over 10 years ago. They had opened the military to the homosexuals. And it was clear that
the Russians had?
I love how you said that.
Are you sure? Because I thought that it was like illegal in Russia to be gay.
Yeah, well, yeah, of course. But I think it was Russia. And I can't remember. It was some conflict they were engaged in. And they were recruiting homosexuals. For obvious reasons, right? Put them in the front lines and let them all fucking die. And I found that interesting. I was like, suddenly you're acknowledging gays, and I'm pretty sure it was Russia. And I can't remember which conflict it was, and this is over 10, maybe 15 years ago. And yeah, they were open to recruit homosexuals in the army. and send them straight to that conflict.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, like I say, I know that there's I saw a recruitment film from the U.S. Army a couple of years ago, and it was a woman who talked about her childhood and growing up with two moms, and how her two moms set such an example for her and showed her how to be a strong woman and this and that and the other thing, and then cut to her modern day, and I forget exactly what she did in the Army. She was like part of a missile defense system team or something like that. But anyway, the whole gist of the recruitment video was, this young lady grew up as the child of two lesbians, and now she's in the Army. So I really don't care if she grew up with two lesbians. I really don't. I just, is she good at what she does? Is she a good soldier? Is she a good service
Do you
member?
think that they're having issues recruiting, and they feel that
that's what it
the
is.
members of these communities, because they feel left out, or because they feel like there's no sense of belonging anywhere, that they can go and get them more easily? Like
could be.
there's a place here for you.
That's an interesting point. I think there might have been an element of that in Elegance Bratton's story. As I said, part of his motivation was to try to win back his mother's love and respect, but he was also motivated by, he was homeless. He was a homeless, gay, 25-year-old man with nowhere to go and nothing. And, the Marines offered him, a roof over his head and food on the table and a future. And so he went for it.
Yeah. Interesting. I'm going to go watch it. I'm going to go watch it for sure.
Yeah, I'd be curious to hear your take on the. Like, I think the trailer's pretty good, and the trailer hooked me. The movie itself, like I say, it's not for everybody probably, and it doesn't move. It's not an action film, but I really liked it. I really enjoyed it, and again, I like that. I like the military stuff.
Yeah, it's cool.
So,
Do you like Saving Private Ryan? Jesus Christ, my teeth hurt.
What's wrong with your teeth?
Did you? I pulled out 2 wisdom teeth and I have a root canal.
It's been 2 weeks. Do you still
I
hurt
bit
it?
my tongue over a week ago, and it still hurts. It's
My
fucking,
God.
it's ulcered on one side. Yeah.
Did you enjoy the movie Saving Private Ryan?
Yes.
Well, here comes Saving Ryan's Privates.
That's such an old joke, dude.
Really?
Dude, we were saying that in fucking high school.
Oh, I didn't know that. I just came up with it.
There was a porn, I think, done like that.
Yeah, there was.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Privates.
Yeah. That's
I'm a Renaissance
Yeah.
man.
It was called Shaving Ryan's Privates.
Oh,
Was the name of the porn movie. My favorite porn movie title, Crouching, what was it? Crouching Uncle Hidden Camera. Isn't that great?
Crouch, that's amazing.
Crouching Uncle Hidden Camera instead
That's
of
amazing.
what was it? Crouching Tiger Hidden Dragon. Was that the movie?
That was a great movie, too.
Crouching Uncle Hidden Camera.
See, I would have thought Crouching Tiger, Hidden Vagina.
There you go. Yeah. Well, there was Big Trouble in Little Vagina. That was another one.
That was funny. That was really funny.
Hey guys, I want to come back to something that we spoke about last week with respect to that convention, the conservative convention. We were wondering, what the hell is Pablo Rodriguez and Stephen Guilbeault doing there? Remember we were saying that's odd.
Didn't you say they were invited?
So I sent you a text message because we did
Okay, so you told me that by text. We didn't talk about that.
we didn't talk about
Okay.
it, but I still want to mention because we misinformed everyone. We're like fucking idiots, they're hijacking a conference to whatever, and that's how the media played it off.
Yeah.
But we recorded an episode of the French podcast I do, and my friend, my co-host Salim, who's much more connected than I am. He's like, no, but that's normal that they're there. I'm like, what do you mean it's normal? He goes, because they're invited. I'm like, who's invited? He goes, there's a tradition at the federal level where each party in their national conventions invites certain members of the opposing parties to attend should they want to. They're allowed to, obviously they can't participate, but they're like observers.
Observers, yeah.
And so it's this long tradition apparently that they've had where the door is open to any members of the opposition or the opposing parties to come and attend the conventions. And of course the media is all there so they can comment if they want. And I think there's an aspect to that is pretty cool, I find. I mean, I didn't even know this was happening, so that's why I thought this is strange. I've never seen that
So
ever
were
happen
they-
because that doesn't happen at the provincial level.
Were Gilbo and Rodriguez
So they were invited.
specifically? They specifically
I don't
were
know.
invited,
I don't know if
or
they-
is there,
I
or
don't
is
know-
there just
yeah.
an understood open door policy? If you want,
I don't know
you
if
can
they were
come.
invited specifically, but there is an invitation extended to the other parties, and I guess they
So
choose.
it's not an unspoken invitation. It's actually
No,
extended.
yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know if
wonder
they-
why the media wouldn't report that.
And you would think that the media, having covered these things
Yeah,
for God knows how long, they should know
Exactly.
that. So I didn't know this because this doesn't happen provincially. I mean,
Yeah.
you get stoned. You can't do that.
Because the spin on it was, or the media take on it was that it reeked of desperation on the part of the Liberals,
Yeah.
that they were showing up
Yeah.
at the Conservative convention and trying to raise a stink.
And I chewed that up.
Yeah, me too.
Entirely. Yeah.
I ate it up. Yeah.
So there you have it. So sorry for the misinformation, people.
You know what else we didn't talk about from that was Poilievre's WestJet
Yes, the speakerphone
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, or
What
the
did
whatever,
you-
the intercom.
Yeah. What did you think of that?
Look, first of all, let's just establish the facts. They cleared it first with, I think it was WestJet.
It was
right?
WestJet,
So
yeah.
they called WestJet. They're like, this is happening. The majority of the plane ride back to, I think it was Calgary, is flying
Conservative delegates. It's
Yeah, it's
conservative
yeah,
delegates.
exactly.
I read that they put that flight on. They added that flight specifically
to accommodate, exactly.
conservative delegates. heading back
And you know,
west.
the leader of the party is going to be there. Would you mind if he addresses, a couple, minute or two, whatever? And it was cleared by WestJet. So the fact that he did that, I don't blame him. I get the PR stunt. It makes for awesome visuals because you know automatically that the minute he goes up and grabs that phone, everyone is filming it. So
Yeah.
it's going to be instantly shared on hundreds of social
Yeah.
media
Yeah.
accounts, whatever. So very smart on their behalf. The whole debate now is on whether or not WestJet should have done that.
But it was a chartered flight.
I don't think it was a chartered flight. I think it was a regular flight,
It was
but it was added specifically to
Yeah.
accommodate delegates from the convention.
Yeah,
that was my
I think
understanding.
I saw a tweet by Jan Arden.
Jan Arden, Christ, Jan.
I think she was on that plane, or she was
no,
commenting.
she wasn't on the plane. She was just being the loud and obnoxious anti-conservative
There you have
voice that she is, and it's fine to be
because the way she wrote her tweet was as if she was there. So I'm guessing she was just sarcastic.
personally offended, and she's never going to fly WestJet again. And
Oh my
you know
God.
what, Jan? Why don't you go write another bitter old bag song? Why don't you write another one for the
Look, here's
for
the
fucking
thing.
Hell Hath No Fury compilation?
Look, here's the issue, and I guess look, my point of view is it's the company's business. They should fucking deal with it because now they've opened the door. There's a precedent there, right? So what happens if tomorrow, I don't know, some sports team is on the plane and the coach wants to, or the captain wants to see a message, or what happens if there's a concert happening and the singer goes there? I mean, there's all these situations now, and apparently that's only the only purpose that's there for is for emergency or for updates or whatever, right? I think it's just it's a non-issue in my book.
Well,
I mean, I don't care if the company cleared it. That's fine, as long as the guy didn't walk up and say, "Hey, I'm going to use your phone now," and they're like, "Ooh, I don't know."
and he
Okay,
didn't
yeah.
say anything controversial to my knowledge. It was
It's a
just
spiel. The guy's a politician. They're coming. They're motivated from the convention. He just, gave him another little minute of, little pep talk there. Everybody was happy. They filmed him, and it's done. Look, it's not his fault. So everybody blamed him for doing it. It's WestJet. His team did what they had to do. They're like,
Yeah.
well, you know what? It'd be interesting if we can take advantage. I would have definitely thought about that as well. Like, which PR guy or comms guy wouldn't have thought of something like that? Everyone would have thought about that. Hey, it would be nice if you can just talk to them on the phone. Awesome fucking pictures. The money shot, we used to call it. And they did what they had to do. They got the clearance from WestJet. So there you have it, man. So that's it.
Somebody posted a video of in the wake of this happening of Omar Al-Gabra. Is that is he still the transport minister?
Oh, the minister. Yeah. And I don't think he's transport. He's something
Well, he
else.
was transport.
Yeah,
anyway,
he
they
was.
posted a video of him, however long ago, doing the same thing on a Via Rail train.
Ah, okay.
He was on. He
Yeah,
was
but
on the,
via rail, I think is
it's
publicly
Crown
funded.
Corporation. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there
Well,
you
it's
go.
not funded, but yeah, it's a Crown Corporation.
Yeah. Well, you know what? To me, then, all the more reason that WestJet should be able to call its own shots.
But that's what I'm saying. It's
Yeah.
a private company. They gave their okay.
Yeah.
What's your problem? Like
Well, Jan Arden is just being Jan Arden.
but it wasn't only her. I'm sure there was other comments.
Yeah.
And it's fine. I mean, but look, nobody's talking about that now. So
No.
that it just goes to show you that it's a non-issue. They took advantage of it. He made bank with all those clips going online. So a lot of those footage, that footage became viral. So it's good for him. He scored big time with it.
Yeah. You know what else nobody's
feel like-
talking?
Sorry, I cut you off.
Go ahead.
Ted. I feel like people don't have fun anymore. Like I remember as a kid, things like this, people used to laugh about them. That people would have fun with these things. It was like the little moments in life, where you're so serious. Let's enjoy a bit. I don't know, man. Like things change.
I think the
fucking
social
weird.
media's got a lot to do with it. People are looking for reasons to be pissed off and to vent, and that was, Jan Arden seized on that. You were talking about nobody's talking about it anymore. It occurred to me yesterday when I was thinking about the show today, something that we talked about, 2-3 weeks ago. Whenever I did the first one here, that I haven't heard mention of him at all in the last couple of weeks is his buddy. I can't even remember his name. Oliver, the guy who did the songs, the Richmond. Richmond, North.
Oliver
Richmond.
Anthony, I think.
Oliver Anthony. Yeah, I haven't heard shit about him for the last 2 weeks. I should have, and I didn't. I meant to look at the Billboard charts to see if his music was still making any noise, or if he had his 15 minutes, and now that's the end of it.
I don't know. I think the minute you go on Rogan, you're pretty, and especially if you're an
Did he go
entertainer-
on Rogan?
Yeah, he went
I
on
didn't
Rogan.
know that. I'm gonna have to watch that episode.
Yeah,
Did you watch it?
Yeah.
And
it's amazing.
Yeah?
What a fantastic story. This
Yeah?
guy's been through some hard times.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Smart guy?
Yeah,
Or average guy?
Yeah, average guy. Like it's one of those regular Joes with
Yeah.
an incredible fucking story.
Yeah.
And it's just
He's
cool.
a good
like-
songwriter.
Oh man, yeah. But he's been doing it since he's a kid, and it's just that he just now found his way, and everything seems to have, and everything just happened within a matter of weeks.
Yeah.
He goes into detail on Rogan about
Interesting.
how
I'm
everything happened.
going to watch that. How
Yeah.
long ago was he on?
When we spoke about it,
Yeah.
that week.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. It's pretty incredible.
Huh.
Yeah. Speaking of last week's show, I want to go back again because we spoke about Trudeau's gaffes in India and how incredibly embarrassing it's been, and how that relationship, there's something off. Remember when
he
we
was
spoke
getting
about
the
that?
cold shoulder from Modi.
Yeah, and it's been from the very beginning, and we spoke about the fact that he's very close to the Sikh communities, and he brought some Sikhs into cabinet as well. Well, this week we found out why
there's
something
tension.
is off,
Yeah.
and we find out that Trudeau came out actually on Monday, was it, or Tuesday? I think it was on Monday, with a huge fucking accusation, to the point where a Sikh leader last June this year, so right before the summer or into the summer, there was a huge Sikh leader out in BC that was murdered outside of the temple that he presides. The Trudeau came out yesterday or before yesterday, and he said that they have intelligence that the Indian government was behind that murder, which is a huge thing to say. I mean, involving a foreign government into something like this it's a monster fucking allegation.
Yeah.
Obviously, they expelled a top diplomat. India did the same, so they're kind of even there.
Oh, they had dueling diplomatic expulsions.
It's almost the basic procedure,
standard
right?
fare, yeah.
But this opened the door to a huge diplomatic issue now with Canada and India. Mind you, India is one of the biggest commercial trading partners, not only of Canada, but it's the biggest. It's the biggest democracy in the world. It's like India is in the middle of everything. It's one of the top 5 partners of the G7 countries. So this is huge. It's a huge deal, and there's this ongoing thing now that has started with India. The Indian Prime Minister woke up Tuesday morning to the fact that Prime Minister Trudeau made these allegations public. Apparently, he had confronted him at the G20 meeting in India, which is why we were
Trudeau
getting
had confronted Modi.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, he said, "This is this. We have intelligence that's showing us that your government has been involved in this killing." So it kind of explains why all those pictures were fucking weird.
Big
that
time.
he wasn't attending certain events. So that explains what happened in India. Definitely. What's going to happen going forward? I don't know. So the story that came out, obviously pushed by all the media as well, is that how dare they? This is foreign interference. How can a foreign government be directly involved in the killing of a Canadian citizen? Forget about that he's a Canadian citizen. Any person living in Canada, you don't have to be a citizen. You're coming on foreign soil and you're killing someone. It's huge. So, but there's a flip side to that story, and of course, it doesn't justify the Indian government coming on our soil and killing the guy. But from the Indian perspective, this guy was declared a terrorist. He's gotten like a code red from Interpol. He's been stopped by the RCMP a couple of times and released. So he's been monitored. He's been linked to certain attempts back in India in the 90s, some assassination attempts and some terrorist coups also. So it's not just some random Sikh temple president that was shot. Yeah. So apparently, so this guy was a leader of one of the separatist movements. And just so people can understand, the Sikhs in India, most of them are from the Punjab area. It's like this region called Khalistan, and they've been forever now, for decades, fighting for independence. And India has called them out as terrorists. Now, whether the terrorists or not, we don't know. We're not on the ground. We have over here a much different mentality, right? I mean, we, especially in Quebec, we understand up close and personal what it means to be a separatist. And the huge contrast between us and what's happening in India is that we've allowed, separatist political parties to flourish and to, this is part of democracy. And if you want to separate, well, you have every right to do so, and we'll let the people decide, kind of thing. Now, there was a fine line between the separatist powers and the FLQ back in the day.
I was going to say, aside from the October crisis of 1970, the separatist movement in Quebec has never been violent. And my understanding is that the Sikh separatist movement in India
is it the same? Is it not? I don't know. Or the stories coming out of India is that they're all terrorists. I think it's exaggerated.
Well, is there violence? Is there separatist violence?
There has been violence, but at the same time, we had violence here in Quebec as well. Can you associate the FLQ movement to the separatist movement? Are they one and the same? Obviously not. I mean, you can be a separatist and not be a terrorist.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, but the terrorists were motivated by
for sure
by their
separatist same thing with
leanings.
The FLQ.
Yeah,
they were motivated separatists.
That's who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But is the violence in the Punjab region from Sikh separatists more prevalent than we've seen here in Quebec? We have one isolated incident in Quebec.
Oh,
basically.
no, that's been going on for decades.
Yeah,
yes,
and violence.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, there's been thousands or hundreds of Sikhs that have lost, that have died. They consider themselves persecuted by the Indian government. In any case, I've worked very closely with the Sikh community and their leaders, and I've been to their temples many times, to the gurdwaras. They're hardworking people, and regardless of whatever politics are at home, the experience I always had with them is that doesn't matter to them over here. They're active members in our society. They're very hardworking. A lot of them are successful businessmen. They're very family oriented. And I've never seen any of these extremist behaviors or tendencies here, at least here in Quebec. I don't know how things are on.
Well, they would have no reason to play it out here.
I know, but the argument that India is making is that Canadians should be very careful. It's not an issue. First of all, they're obviously denouncing the fact that they're responsible, which obviously, I mean, then there's no government that's ever going to say, "Oh yeah, we're sorry, we came into your territory and killed the guy." That would never happen.
Would have the motivation.
Yeah. So I mean, there's going to be an investigation now, and I'll tell you what I find weird in this story: that the fact that it was Justin Trudeau that came out and announced it, and not the RCMP or maybe even CSIS, because we're talking about intelligence here. So what kind of intelligence did you have? What kind of evidence? How can you make this bold statement and not have someone from your intelligence unit or your federal police unit out? So, and we'll talk about that if you want. But what I was trying to say is that from the Indian perspective, they're trying to warn us that they have active, separate terrorists in Canada, collecting funds in Canada and feeding the movement back in India. So, I mean, if that were the case, we also have to be, as Canadians, a little bit alarmed and worried. Are we harboring terrorists in Canada? I mean, I think it's a legitimate question. We understand that here in Canada, people have the right to believe whatever they want. And if they're separatists back home, they could be a separatist back home. As long as you live and respect the rules and laws of Canada, there's no problem here. It's an open society, and we know that. And I think we're very fortunate and grateful to have that over here. But if the allegations that India is making are true, I think it should raise a lot of fucking flags.
Yeah, Trudeau in the past has been accused of playing footsie with Sikh separatists, terrorists, is he not?
I don't know. I mean,
wasn't there a guy who showed up in some pictures
that
with
first visit?
Sophie?
Yeah. Well, that first state visit he had in India, already things were on the rocks because he had named a couple of Sikhs in his cabinet. Yeah, exactly that one. There was someone that was in his entourage that was on some terrorist list or had been something like that. So maybe there wasn't a good enough clearance that was made or a background check, which is amazing to me because, I mean, you're the Prime Minister's office. They don't fuck around with that shit. You know what I mean? So, yeah, he got into a little bit of trouble with that one, and it is true. But I don't know. I saw this story, and I was like, holy shit, this is serious. This is obviously going to create a diplomatic issue with India, and how do you even come out of that now? I mean, they're an important partner, right?
Yeah.
That's number one. And then when I read a little bit about this person, my immediate question was, hold on a second. Are we harboring terrorists in Canada? I mean, isn't that equally important to be looked at aside from, everything else? So I'm curious to know what information they have. So I know that Pierre Poilievre came out, and this is what's interesting because he called all the leaders of the opposition. He briefed them on the situation, and I think it was on Monday. And on Monday, they each made a statement condemning India for this, right? Which was nice to see, some sort of unity and cohesion in Parliament, even if it was for like 5 minutes. You know what I mean? It was for a brief period. The big question for me is, why is Justin Trudeau coming out and saying this? I mean, when you have serious allegations of this sort, when you have an issue regarding the intelligence, normally you would expect either the RCMP or CSIS. When we had the two Michaels that were imprisoned in China, it wasn't, well, it was Justin Trudeau, but at the same time, you had, I think CSIS was there as well. I think the RCMP was there. They were making joint statements. What's happening now? What kind of?
Well, that's a question that journalists should be asking.
Yeah.
And 30 years ago, there would be, the questions that you're asking. There would be investigative journalists would be sinking their teeth into a story like this. Like, what is the situation? But now all you get is, the journalists are basically they're parrots for the government. They'll just, whatever Trudeau says, they quote what he says, and the end.
It feels as though they're trying, because I watch the French news and I follow a little bit of the English news as well. But at least on TVA that I watch, they're explaining a little bit the background of this person. They're not going off and saying, well, this guy's a fucking terrorist and, we should look. They don't say that, but they're like,
but they're scratching below the surface. Well, that's good.
They're like, who is he? This is he was considered a terrorist. Red flagged by the Interpol. Accused. Is he sending money? So they're questioning it. They're not declaring it.
That's good.
So
that's what journalists should be doing. Give it some context and perspective.
I just think that if you come out with a bold statement like this, at some point, and I hope sooner than later, you actually present the evidence publicly. You can't just fucking hold this. You can't.
The evidence that why they believe the Indian government was behind the assassination.
I want to believe that it would be impossible to even think of a government coming out with something like this if it's not credible.
Yeah.
You wouldn't risk ruining the relationship with India, of all fucking countries, right? If it's not something serious. So maybe there is something there, but you can't just leave us in the dark. Like, you have to come out and say this. Now, are they trying to protect that man's family? He was married. He has kids. The last thing you want is for the kids to know that, my dad was a terrorist well,
he was what he was,
But at some point, I mean, I get it, and it's serious, but the red flag, the alarm is going off in my mind is, do we have terrorists in Canada, and are we protecting them? That's, for me, much more important.
Maybe I've watched too many movies, but I've got to think that, there's state-sponsored assassination is probably more common than we know.
Oh, yeah. So we'll see how this plays out. Now, the other thing interesting is the timing of this announcement, right? I mean, he's tanking in the fucking polls. They were completely absent during the entire summer period. We spoke about this. I mean, where the hell are they? We see nothing coming out of Trudeau. Suddenly, Parliament is about to start. On the day that Parliament is resuming, he comes out with this huge fucking announcement and completely derails whatever else was being spoken about in the media.
He's got something he can look strong on.
You know what I mean?
If he plays it right.
Exactly. Yeah. And at the same time, he's coming out with his plans, right? How do we, control the grocery prices and how do we stimulate the construction development because of the housing crisis? So he's coming out, he's completely redirecting all the attention towards him. He's coming out with a plan. Well, it's not really his plan because the housing strategy that he announced is almost copy-paste of what Poilievre had suggested.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. And he did nothing. So he's recycling one plan from the Conservatives and the other, the groceries strategy to control the price, is something that Jagmeet Singh has been fucking...
Well, didn't Trudeau's old man do wage and price controls back in the day? That rings a bell with me.
Know.
Wage and price controls.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think that was a Pierre Trudeau thing.
But it's interesting because, Jagmeet Singh has been nailing for months now. Let's meet the heads of the biggest, the big supermarket and I don't know, put a limit, put a cap, something so we can control. He's been rejecting. Now, right before Parliament sits, he's bringing them in, right? Why? I mean, how can you as an opposition criticize Justin Trudeau for doing what he's doing and if he's doing exactly what you've been suggesting? So there is some strategy behind that. It'd be interesting to see how, over the course of the next weeks or months, the opposition finds a way to criticize him on him applying their plan, right? So... just wanted to say that.
I got a good deal on apricots at Walmart yesterday. Yeah.
I'm curious to see if it's going to work because they met up on Monday and basically in the press release said that, from going forward, we're going to collaborate with the government and see how we can work together. Like bullshit, like this is, let's throw words up in a communique and send that out. Nothing concrete. So we'll see how that unfolds in the coming weeks. It'll be interesting to see. It's almost 11:30, guys. We got to go. Ted, you are performing on some shows.
Yes. Friday night, I'm part of a comedy show in Ile Perrot at the Omni Center on Cardinal Leger in Pancourt. If you live out on the island of Parrots, near the Court of Pines, or in that general area. Neil Jana is emceeing. Vivith K and myself are the openers, and David Pride, who's a terrific Montreal stand-up comedian, a veteran of the Just for Laughs Comedy Festival, is the headliner. $25. Okay, get a load of this. $25. $25. What's that get you these days?
Pretty much nothing.
Fuck all to big biz, right? So for $25, you get a full evening of professional stand-up comedy. Jim Beauchamp from Cunningham's Pub is going to throw in a $20 gift certificate for everybody who buys a ticket. The Comedy Nest, David Acker, is throwing in a free pass to any show between now and the end of the year at the Nest. So you're looking at about $45 there. So you're coming out ahead of the game if you go. And that's this Friday night in Pancourt. And then next Friday night and Saturday night, September 29th and 30th, I'm going to be emceeing two shows at the Marcel Morin Center in Pierrefonds. Joey Elias and the Legion of Comedy, Legion of Friends it's called. We do fundraisers for the Royal Canadian Legion branches around Montreal. Heidi Foss is headlining Friday night. Joey is headlining on Saturday night. Great lineup. Chris Vendito, Leonard Yell, Wasim Mansour, who's one of my favorites, Wasim El Mansour. That is $30 for a ticket, $50 if you want to eat. $50 for dinner and a show. Again, a good deal. Go to light1067.ca where I work and go to my blog and you'll see the details for both of those comedy shows. Would love to see you there supporting good causes. Western Patriots Football, the beneficiary of the Ile Perrot show. One one of my favorite parenting experiences and my favorite parenting experience in sports, minor football. When my son played Lakeshore Cougars and then played John Abbott College, loved it. Loved it. Yeah, great team building exercise for the kids and a good parenting experience as well. Less intense than hockey.
Yeah.
Because we don't all, in hockey, everyone thinks their kid's going to be the next Connor McDavid, right?
Exactly.
So it's way too fucking intense. Football's more relaxed.
There you have it, folks. Follow Ted on all his platforms. He advertises the shows if you want more information, or just go on Light 106.7 for all information. Go to those shows and support. Of course, you can follow him also on Standing By, the Terry and Ted podcast, coming soon with a brand new episode. Poseidon over here, you can follow him on all social media platforms. You can check me out on the Backstage podcast, which is starting up again soon, or the French podcast, Politiquement Parlant. What is it again? Patreon.com/Pantelis for all exclusive content. Just a ton of content that you can follow there. And of course, feel free to subscribe on this channel and hit the notifications for all new episodes. Thank you all so very much. We'll see you all next week. Ciao.
Ciao, guys.